We're joined now by Marco Vicenzino from Rome. For more on this, he's a political commentator. Marco, thanks for being with us. Isn't this just what Rome needs? Not only a new politics, but a woman in charge?
But Rome is a particular case. I mean, in all of Italy, there's been corruption for years in many city governments. But the case of Rome is a particular one whereby an entire establishment, not just of center-left, but of center-right, are involved in a series of scandals that are bringing down the old guard within the city of Rome. She represents what one would say is a fresh voice, a new face, part of a new generation. And so in this sense, yes, it would seem to be a positive development, but you'd also have to take into context other city governments in Italy. I mean, there's the elections for the city mayor in Milan, Turin, Naples, and other city. So the five-star movement, yes, this is scoring a big success. Remember, this is the first election. There's going to be a runoff later in June. But I'll be very careful before getting that example of Rome and taking it to all of Italy. There's a strong anti-establishment movement, not just in Italy, but throughout all of Europe. Renzi himself is not immune to this anti-establishment movement. He needs to wake up in many ways and begin when he first became prime minister, he began what was considered to be a very healthy series of reforms. Somewhat in certain ways have become stuck, but he has to regain the initiative after this round of mayoral elections. The big date for him is going to be in October 2016, where there's going to be a referendum on constitutional reform to help accelerate and create a more streamlined legislature. If he loses that, he's promised to resign. That's a few months from now. But for now, one needs to also take into consideration the outcome of the next round, of the final round of these elections coming up at the end of June.
So the Virginia Raggi factor, you're saying it's not indicative of a wider change in Italy?
No, it is indicative. There is an anti-establishment movement. There are anti-establishment parties throughout. Look at Spain with the far left, Podemos, far right in France with the National Front. In England, you also had the far right with UKIP. In Germany, you're beginning to see the rise of a far right and the traditional far left. So what I'm saying is that Italy is not immune from it, but the city of Rome is a particular dynamic at play. But that's not to say that the rest of Italy, the five-star movement, now remember, has become the second largest party in Italy. This is a party that's calling for a referendum of Italy's involvement in the euro, which was something that was just unheard of a short time ago. So the political establishment, Mr. Renzi, he needs to, once again, I use the word wake up. What I mean by wake up is the fact that he needs to re-seize that spirit of reform, that initiative that he first brought to when he became prime minister in 2014. And it's also a clear sign. And when I say anti-system, it's both the entire political establishment. It's anti-corruption, grievances that ordinary citizens have been talking about for a long time, and these grievances still have not been addressed. And until these grievances are confronted and addressed in a substantive fashion, that danger of the rise of populism, I'd avoid people using the form extremist. I would say it's more populist. Parties like the five-star movement, not just in Italy, but their sort of sister parties throughout Europe, will increasingly gain more electoral victories if the mainstream parties are not living up to real reform.
Marco Vicenzino, thank you so very much for joining us. As Marco says there, it is the first round of voting. And of course, the second round due later in June when the fate of the mayor of Rome is decided. But presently, Virginia Raggi very much in control. And of course, she from the five-star movement, as Marco pointed out. That